Once a mistake is made, it is just a mistake. But if it happens again, it becomes a habit and not a mistake. Please subscribe to our channel if you would like to receive updates before we get into the story. The name of my wife is Charlotte, who is 29 years old, and the name of me is Jessie, who is 32 years old. The first time I met her was when I was traveling to Romania. She was a student there studying architecture. While she was there, it just so happened that she came from a nearby area where I was born. I met her in a historical museum where there was a display of some antique work. She tried to ignore me, but to be honest, I was so good-looking guy. So how could a girl ignore me if I had such good looks? My first thought was that she was a Romanian, but when I went to her and started talking to her, I realized that she wasn't. As soon as I found out that she was from the United States, our native hometown became the reason for our friendship. As we talked a bit, I found out that she had come over to complete her higher studies and that she was currently in her first year of university. Having the opportunity to meet her was a pleasure for me. In fact, I got smitten with her as soon as I saw her. In my opinion, she was a very nice young lady. I did not study a lot, and all I was doing was running a supermarket by myself. In spite of this, I respected the fact that she was studying. Anyhow, during the 3 years I spent in the city, I visited her almost every day. The moment I got her number, I promised her that I would visit her as soon as possible. Since she was unable to do so because of the time it took for her to study, it was good to be back in my hometown. As much as I tried to forget, her thoughts remained in my head and I couldn't get rid of them. However, we used to talk on our mobile phones a lot. As a matter of fact, our love story actually began virtually. It was the only way in which we were able to communicate with each other. As a result, we stayed in contact with one another all the time. After 6 months of virtual communication, she came back in the middle of semester break to visit. During our meeting, we spent a lot of quality time together. Despite the fact that virtual relationships are stronger, our physical relationships were much stronger and we could not break them. It is obvious that we had a lot of romance, and that was one of the reasons we became more attached to each other. The holidays ended and we went to Romania to study remaining course. Nevertheless, as soon as she returned, I began to feel very lonely. While I worked the whole day, whenever I had some time to myself, I missed her a lot. We've been in a relationship for 1.5 years now. When she returned to the United States the next time, it was apparent that she had undergone some changes. It seemed to me that she was always confused about everything and was always sad all the time. I was unable to see her like this, so I asked her what she thought about it. In the midst of all of this, she suddenly said that she wanted to get married to me. It was astonishment to me that she could say this to me because I had no idea what she could. I asked her again, "What do you really want? Tell me what I can do for you. What is really most important to you?" In response, she said that she would like to marry me. It is true that I said I would marry you, but what is the problem? What does it mean to me in a hurry? She told me that I had no one in my world and she was going through a difficult time of depression right now. Therefore, she has to find someone who can help her, so she would be able to realize that there is someone who cares about me and needs to know who I am here. There was a laugh in my voice and I said, "My love, I'm here to care about you always and forever." At that moment, she insisted that I marry her. As a result, I had no choice but to accept this situation. In fact, I was just waiting for her studies to be completed, which will take at least 1.5 years to complete. It was something I was looking forward to. However, due to the fact that she demanded that I marry her right now, I unfortunately had to do so. I decided to marry her in the middle of this vacation that she was on. Having been able to fulfill her dreams was a great feeling for me. As soon as we got married, I told her to take some more leaves from the university because I needed her for a while longer. As soon as she was able to get some more leave, we went on a cute honeymoon trip to Australia. In light of the fact that I was a travel enthusiast, she seemed very delighted by my hobby of traveling. The more we got to know each other in that month, the more we fell in love with each other. She had the time of her rejoining date for university, but I did not want her to go back to university just yet. In spite of that, she was forced to do that due to the fact that her studies were also a paramount importance of her. There is no way I could make her grades worse than they already are. She had my full support throughout the whole process. In the aftermath of her return, I felt very lonely because of her presence in my life. It was always my goal to stay in touch with her on a regular basis, either through calls or texts. But because her studies were a bit challenging, I wasn't able to talk to her regularly because of her busy schedule. After about 8 or 10 days, I got the chance to talk to her again. I felt desperate at the time. However, after 6 months of waiting, the time of her vacation arrived, and I felt very excited for her return. Although she once called me and said that she was unable to come home because of her internship, she could not make the trip. The feeling I had was very bad. There was a year of waiting in the midst of all this. My character was one of honesty and loyalty, and I was known for it. It was during her absence that girls tried to flirt with me, but I was a hard guy to flirt with. Because I was committed to her in every way, it was impossible for me to even think about any ordinary girl. I was just crazy about Charlotte at the time. It is a fact that I needed romance, but I waited for her to come over so that we could have it. And then we began to love each other. I got frustrated one day and fought with her as a result of my frustration. She was told that I did not want her to study anymore and to come home as soon as possible. The world was very austere and we had everything we could possibly want. However, she refused to come back, and in anger, she told me that she was going to hell for not coming back. The importance of her studies cannot be overstated. On that particular day, I was very angry, but I managed to calm myself down after that. Nevertheless, after 2 days, I called her and apologized to her because I was the only one who started the conflict, and she neither forgave me nor promised to come home in the future. It was after that day that I stopped asking her questions. After completing her studies, she returned home permanently for the rest of her life. She seemed to have changed a bit in her attitude. Despite the fact that she had no concern about me, she did not even ask me about my health. Just arrived and went to sleep at that time. I ignored her because I thought she must have jet lag at that time. But after a few days, there was rudeness in her attitude that was apparent. Besides getting a good job at a good architecture company, she also got a good salary. Along with this, I was unable to understand my mistake because she was constantly behaving very rudely to me, and I had no idea why. She was getting late from work one day, so she forgot something at home. When I checked it, I found that it was a medicine. Initially, I ignored her, but after a while, I started to wonder why she was taking medicines and why she needed to take them. As soon as I got that tab, I went to the pharmacist nearby and asked him about it. According to him, the pill was used during the period prior to an abortion to induce the process. In a state of shock, I wondered why she was taking such a high dose of medication. It boiled down to the fact that she was pregnant. However, the fact is that I had not had romance with her for the last 2 months after she returned home. As soon as I became suspicious, it became very clear to me what was going on. There is no doubt that she was pregnant, but not for me, but from someone else before she came to live with me. My feet are lifted from the earth as if it lifts from beneath me. There was a period of time when I felt unconscious. It was important to me that I knew the truth from her mouth. As soon as I returned home, I waited for her to arrive. In spite of the fact that she came, she still remained the same attitude in her language. As soon as I told her to sit beside me, she did not. In fact, she did not sit with me at all. I asked her again, but she said she did not have time for it and we could talk at another time when she had time. After grabbing her arm and forcing her to sit with me, I finally managed to make her sit with me. In the next step, I gave her the medications that she was taking. The look on his face was filled with a wave of fear. The moment my eyes met her, I screamed, "How could you have gotten pregnant if I had not touched you in a long time?" Which meant you had slept with someone. What the fuck did you snore with? I asked her. In return for my love for you, you have given this to me as a gift. I slammed the medicine on her face. I asked her, has she any shame in her eyes? I was surprised when she began apologizing to me and making excuses that it was a mistake on her part. In the course of that one night, she consumed a lot of alcohol and slept with her friend. After returning hometown, she discovered this but started the abortion procedure. Unfortunately, I've become aware of all of these things only a few days ago. Despite the fact that she begged me, I was unable to tolerate this and told her to get the fuck out of my house as soon as possible. I've lost my love for you. Then I told her that I have also been suffering loneliness as a result of your absence, but I remained loyal to you all the time despite your absence. However, despite the fact that you were rude to me, even if it was you who committed the mistake, you played badly with me. I would like to know what you think about what you are. As a last resort, if I were to still give you a chance to prove yourself, but who would know that you had slept with someone after dribbling? As a result, I was unable to take the risk. As soon as it is over, I'll send you the divorce papers as soon as possible. It was not her intention to leave my property, but I forced her to get out of my house. I got her out of my house. Then there was a feeling of regret in me that maybe I had done something wrong to her, or perhaps I should have given her another chance. As soon as I told myself to be calm, I realized that I had made the right decision.